Alrighty then, so welcome to my project presentation for Project 2 for the CSC 2610 course. So I decided to name my website the LSU Parking Availability Tracker. And so this is sort of the home page for the website. As you can see here, I created this little icon that has Mike the Tiger, like one of the main LSU logos with a parking tag on top of it, as well as just the park, an image of the parking map of LSU here. So you can kind of get a general idea of what this website is supposed to be functionally just from the images alone. Now if you go here, I kind of have this little paragraph here that kind of goes over the basics of what to expect of this website, and then I have this little HTML form here just to to comply with the requirements for the project. So it just acts as a very simple question. It's just a simple form that wants to know what is the most convenient day for you to park on campus throughout the whole day. So you can select any sort of day that you want, and once you click submit, it'll tell you that the most convenient days reported by users is Tuesday. Well, okay, well, that's just one instance, right? Let's say I click on Monday. What it'll say? It'll say Tuesday, right? Okay, well, what if I click Monday again? Well, now it'll say Monday because instead of being clicked once, it was clicked twice. So it's gonna supersede what came before it, right? Um, and so basically the way that this, little HTML form works is that here's the actual form, right? It just has, some radio buttons and, it just uses the post method. And if you go to my server.js file, so what it does, and this was a very scuffed way to go about it, but essentially I decided to use the file library, the file IO library of JavaScript, and I have this little file that's called convenientdays.json. And let me actually show you what this looks like. So if we come here into public, I have a little JSON file that kind of has these days. Um, I put them in French, just for whatever reason, and they have numbers associated with them, right? And then so once you click, essentially what happens is it loads, the all the data from the file. I use the JSON library to parse the data, and then I just go and I manually increment by one every single day here in a switch statement that kind of goes over whichever day that was clicked. And then I just do a very simple bubble sort algorithm down here to sort the days and then switch the numbers as well. um and here I have them loaded in manually. um and then once it manages to sort it, it'll send it out onto its own little instance of like a server page, right? And it'll tell you whatever the most convenient day was once it's finished sorting. This wasn't loaded into a database. I just kind of wanted to play around with it, um just to kind of see if it would work, and it worked just fine. And so over here at the top, I have this navigation bar that has 2 days. I did something that works well on desktop but kind of looks a little bit more goofy on mobile. So essentially whenever you hover over one of the pages, essentially the font size will increment a little bit just so you can know that it was clicked on. And if you can tell, the color value changes. So you see here it's purple, it goes to a dark blue color once you're hovering over it, like you're about to click on it. And if you go to the main CSS file that I hear with the selector that I have here, if you look at the navigation link class, so what I have is I have the color set to a purplish color and the font size is set to 20 pixels. And so whenever the hover is invoked in this class, I change the color to a dark blue, and I increment the pixel size, the font size by only 4, right? Very minorly. And that's how you manage to get this to work. So for the availability page, it's fairly simple. Once you come over here, just generate the table with all of the LSU parking lot data. And the way that I decided to handle this, and it takes a while mainly because it's manually going to pull everything from that server, from that availability page that LSU has. And so I have it here in lot.js. So I decided to do a rather brute force JavaScript way of doing this. And so I have a class that's called lot, and it has the name, it has the day, which is really just the number. So I know, like, for example, if the day is set to 0, then I know it's Monday. It found the first instance of that particular lot. And the way I know it is Tuesday if it increments. And if I'm at 1 now, that's how I know that I'm at Tuesday. And so that's the difference between the day and then the real day is what the actual, um, word is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so I brute forced it here. I have literally all the lots here, and I used HTML DOM to sort of query through all the instances of this tag here, TD, which is for the table for in HTML. And so it goes through each one, it finds the lots, and then it meticulously goes through each one and it grabs the lot name, the total amount of spaces, and then it gets the spaces at 7 a.m. and then 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 4 p.m. It gets the percentages, what the number is. It divides it by 0, and then I multiply it, right? So I floored the number, right? I took the total number amount of spaces, subtracted it from the floor of the total spaces times whatever that percentage was, and that's how you end up getting it. Now the difference is that this actually isn't immediately sent to the database, mainly because I have this refresh mechanism, and essentially down here in this asynchronous function that's called refresh, it'll load in the URL of that, LSU parking lot website, and it'll run this program again. And this is actually the main difference between what the like what's loaded into the database and what you're pulling from the site. So I decided to separate the two because the way that I interpreted this is that there's the main LSU page, and then there's my website that's made to augment on the information or to further supplement the information rather from the main site. And so whatever gets updated on the main site, it can load it in real time. And then if you need to make any changes, or let's say you found something to be wrong, then you yourself can go and manually add something. And I'll show you exactly how that's done. But as you can see here, have West Stadium Light. It says what the day is, what the lot number is, the total amount of spaces, and it'll tell you how many spaces are available at each one of these times. So let's go to the admin page. It's fairly simple. I kind of modeled it in the image and the likeness of the Moodle page, which is why you have this little admin logo here that I made in Photoshop. So if you see here username and password, let's just assume you click 2 and then 2, right? You don't know what the username and password is, right? Well, it'll actually tell you here that the error is equal to true, right? Admin question mark. And so it basically just tells you, bro, that's the wrong username and password. And if you wanted to know what it is, I kind of give you a hint with a forgot password. And it'll tell you that the hint, username and password may or may not be in the server.js file, which it is. So it's Ryan the program and then assembler at 123 is the password. You click login, it'll take you to this form. Now, let's say you have this lot name, a similar lot. It's on Monday. Let's say the lot number is 12. Now, let's just say that these are the amount of spaces that are available, right? You click add, and it'll take you to this, and it'll, do a very basic post in routes.js where it'll get this model information from the actual body that's being sent to it. And once it does that, it'll actually send it over to the MongoDB Compass. We can check. It'll send it to the database. Let me just go and refresh this very quickly. How do I? Oh yeah, there it is. Refresh. And so if we go here, there it is. And so this is what the object ID is, and this is very important. But just for the sake of showing, now that we know what the object ID is, let's go all the way back here. And so let's go to the availability page, right? And we're just going to take a little while to load up because it's actually doing an in real time, scraping of the data from that website and presenting it to us. But at the very, very bottom, you see here to add the assembler lot. And again, this is made to supplement. Let's just say that there's a lot that existed that is incorrect because LSU does have some of them listed as no data. So let's say you go on and do your own research and you figure out, how many parking spaces are available and things of that nature. And so this is the part where, you know, in lot.js, it goes to the admin lots. And if you come up here, what that is it basically goes and it fetches the API, the get all call, which just goes in routes.js, and it'll literally grab all of the data that's currently inside of the database in the model format that we had, set up earlier, and I'll grab all the information, the lot name, the actual day name, the lot number, all that jazz, and I'll just add it to the inner body, the HTML, which I clear among each refresh. So any single time this parking lot data function is called, you see here, it'll clear whatever the inner HTML is for the lot body, which is the ID for that particular table, and it'll just add it, row by row with each one. And so if you wanted to delete it, unfortunately, really the only way to do that is, through the lot ID. So you need to load in whatever the lot ID is, click delete, and so it says document with undefined has been deleted. So when you click on in routes.js, right? So when you click on delete, this is what it sends if it manages to do it. Otherwise, if it wasn't able to find it by ID, it'll have told you document not found. And I'll show you what happens when you try and do that. So let's just say the lot ID was 1. Then it'll, basically give you this error here. And so if you come to the availability page, let's see if, the parking lot was deleted before we actually check what the database has to say about it. So if we come to the bottom here, it's no longer there, right? So if we come here, back here, refresh, come back here to the data. Oops, hold on. Refresh, please. Okay, well, it isn't there. I'm not sure exactly why it's not refreshing, but safely assured it is no longer there. And then you can obviously manually delete it from the Compass website, but it's not here. It's no longer loading. And so, yeah, that is my website.